dear students. I am Mrs. P. White. I am here to explain the lesson in English Reader, The Shoemaker of Paris. But before I explain the lesson, Shoemaker of Paris, the first lesson of English literature, I would like to introduce the book prescribed for you all, New Trends English Reader by Evergreen Publications. And now I go back to my explanation of the lesson, The Shoemaker of Paris. Now children, this particular incident, this particular extract, this is not a full story that has been given to you, but it is just an extract which has been taken from a very world-renowned book titled A Tale of Two Cities, written by Charles Dickens. And many of you must have read a lot of stories about Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens wrote David Copperfield, Oliver Twist, and many more stories. So he was a world-renowned novelist, and he has written many stories which have been very famous among the kids. They love his stories. So this particular story which I am going to explain, The Shoemaker of Paris, is also an extract. Extract means some part of the story has been taken. It is not a full story, just some part of the story which has been taken from the book titled Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Now what happens in this story? In the introduction of the story, you will see that this story it highlights the agony of a daughter who remains separated from her father for a long time. That means the story is centered around the father and the daughter. The father was Dr. Manette and the daughter was Lucy Manette. We will come to that later. But before that, what happened? Where did this story take place? In 1775, the city of Paris, which was the capital of France, became one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It had beautiful gardens, palaces, parks, meaning this particular place, even today, if you go to Paris, you will find Paris is a very beautiful place. But see the irony of that place, that Paris, where it was so beautiful, there was so much of luxury, so much of wealth, so much of beautiful palaces, parks, everything. And on the other side, there was another place by the name of Saint Antoine. Saint Antoine. Now Saint Antoine was a place which was a contrast to Paris. Meaning, one, Paris was so beautiful, so much of luxury, so much of wealth, so much of good life, all the rich people were enjoying, whereas Saint Antoine was suffering. The people over there were poor, they were ragged, they were living hand to mouth, they were living in misery, there was nothing for them. So this is, the story is depicting the time when these people who were in Saint Antoine, they were going to revolt against the high class, meaning those people who were the rulers. So we are going into a backdrop of French Revolution. This also depicts the time of French Revolution. So see what happens in the beginning of the story, that this particular man who was known as Monsieur Defarge. Monsieur Defarge was the owner of a wine shop, and he was supposed to be a wealthy man. He and his wife, they were owning a wealthy wine shop, and one day what happened, when the wine was being taken in a barrel and it had to be reached to his shop, in the middle it was just accidentally that the barrel of wine just fell on the road. And see the state of the poor people over there. They had never seen such a sight. They had never seen so much of luxury like wine falling in the streets. So how did the people react? The poor people, they went down on their knees. They because wine had collected in different potholes in different places, and the whole street was full of red color wine, and people were behaving like dogs. They were going down on their knees, they were lapping it up like a dog, meaning it shows the condition of the people, poor people at that time. And these poor people were suffering, whereas the luxuries were all to the high class, to the nobles, because it is the time of French Revolution when Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette were ruling. That is the time when there was so much of trouble going on in the country, and time was not far when see this incident, when another important character in the story, Mr. Gaspard, who was a tall thin man, he wrote the word blood in the same street where wine flowed. Now, for he knew that the French Revolution would break out very soon, and instead of wine there would be the blood of the rich and powerful who brought misery to the poor people. That means now what is he trying to connect blood to, meaning he's connecting the blood of the rich, meaning the poor people are going to revolt. They are going to remove the kings and the queens because they were very bad in their meaning ways. They were not treating the people well. So definitely revolution will break, and when revolution breaks, what happens? The common man is going to revolt against the high class, against the nobles, against the rich, against the kings. And this is what exactly in the Tale of Two Cities, meaning Shoemaker of Paris, a little extract is telling you about the scene, the backdrop of the French Revolution. And see how Monsieur Defarge, who was the owner of the wine shop, he was a very powerful man amongst the poor local people. He and his wife, my wife was always seen knitting and doing something very, she was always busy. And this elderly, another meaning in the second part of the story, which I will be explaining to you later, when another elderly gentleman named Mr. Jarvis Lorry, when he enters the scene. So I will not go to that scene because the video will become very long. So first part of the extract of the story I have explained, telling you about the condition of the people, the French people, the poor condition, the people who are living in misery, who are living hand to mouth, who are treated like dogs by the rulers, and how did they behave when this barrel of wine had just accidentally flown on the streets, meaning it was just flowing in the streets, and how the people reacted and what was the state at that time. So I will end my video here. This is the first part of the story. The second part of the story, children, I will come back to you and I will explain the second part. And in the meantime, I am sending the PDF of the chapter Shoemaker of Paris. So you all go through it, read the lesson 2-3 times, and then in my next video I'll come back to you with some more explanations. And for today, just take care, be safe, and stay indoors. Have a good day.